owners to build up to three times three homes per lot in areas that previously restricted these lots to be one or two homes. A government commissioned analysis by PricewaterhouseCoopers has estimated that the new measures will spur a building boom expected to add between 48,000 and 105,000 new units of housing in New Zealand by the end of the decade. New Zealand is currently plagued by a real estate market that is even more unaffordable than Canada's. The gap between New Zealand's average incomes and average real estate costs is currently among the highest. Notably, the problem continues to grow despite the fact that New Zealand maintains strict controls on foreign ownership. In 2018, the country banned non residents from purchasing pre existing New Zealand real estate, although foreigners are given limited reign to purchase new builds. In Canada, any law to defang I like that. Any law to defang municipal zoning laws would need to come from the provinces that control these kind of things. In other words, getting municipalities to change the way they do business would come from the provinces, whereas in New Zealand, it was able to come from the government. And speaking of government, a discussion that I've had with many homeowners, particularly in the urban areas like Vancouver, is tax. Huge property taxes, which figure into the ability to afford a home. And now, if you wanted to build a home, the red tape, the regulations, and the delays are enormous. It can take up to a year just to get a building permit in Vancouver. Now, I don't know what the situation is now in Vancouver, but once upon a time, in the little sleepy city of Nelson, not so sleepy small city of Nelson, there was a family whose name I will not speak right now, that if you weren't contracting them to do it, the building permit was going to take a lot longer to get, and you might not get.
So it's kind of like mafia type tactic.
Well, yeah, it's like you had to make friends with somebody in the government or in the building planning department in order to get your permit, and I'll bet you that exists in a lot of places. And don't have firsthand information like I have it from Nelson, but I imagine it exists. Now, out in the areas where it are not cities, yes, people live in areas that are not cities. I guess we call them rural areas. Now, I kind of wrote this myself. Most reasons are the building codes. Outside them, permanent structures are built in a variety of ways using resources on hand like logs, clay, shingles, and wooded areas. And in drier regions, subterranean and other earth structures are more common. One of the factors in the housing shortage is the urbanification, which I don't think is a word, of society. For employment and lifestyle, many have left rural areas for cities, like a lot of people. This may be changing. Now, I've got another article, and this is out of something called blog2.com, and I don't know who these people are. They just popped up on my radio. But it's talking about a place in Ontario called Smooth Rock Falls. Is that a cool name, Yankee?
Yeah, that's very interesting.
Hey, baby, where are you from? I'm from. And she says, oh, well, I'm from Smooth Rock Falls.
Do they have a beer called Smooth Rock Falls?
Well, they're probably going to right now. This place isn't very big. There's only 1,330 people, according to the last census in 2016. But they came up with something that this article said was ahead of its time, and they attracted more than 60 new families to the area. And they started this long before Uncle COVID came to town. Now, the revitalization project was launched to combat a decline in Smooth Rock Falls population. I like that name, which has been constantly falling since the closure of a major pulp and paper mill in 2006. Now, you can still get land up there, Mr. Yankee. You should move up there, man. You'd love it. Maybe. I doubt it. You can still get cheap land to build homes and businesses on up with a caveat. Buyers must purchase the land by tender, and then if they build on it within 2 years, they get 90% of their purchase price back. And alternatively, you can buy land
Wait,
with
so
a house already
how
on
does
it.
that work? What do you mean they get 90% back?
Well, you got to put down the money, what it's really worth. Okay, let's say they say it's worth, the lot is say worth $80,000. So you give them $80,000. It's held in escrow or whatever. And as long as you build a house, as soon as the house is built, they kick back all the 8,000 of it. You know. So there you go.
I see.
Yeah. And now here's you still okay. Smooth rock. Now there's another path that you can take if you don't want to try to build a house. You can buy land with a house already on it, which costs about a tenth of what you'd pay for a house or condo in Toronto. And with people working, from home, that might work. The only problem is, see, this place called Smooth Rock Falls. It's in Northern Ontario. I don't know, man. I don't know. Most people do not want to live in Northern Ontario. It's pretty
Wow.
much. It's It's there might be a couple months of summer, and the rest of it's not that good. Okay, moving right along, we get to watch a video from YouTube. V equals WTEU 7Z DG1.
DG, let me switch over.
Yeah. Just play it for a minute and 17 seconds. It's a really nice house. I'm jealous. I want one. Guy built a house. Oh, this is all approved. Some people just live when they live out in the rural areas. They'll use darn near anything. But yeah, okay. So this is an approved structure, and it's really pretty. I like this house. Like, wow, man.
All right, we ready?
Yeah, I love them.
So we're gonna do what? Minute 17, right?
Yeah, might as well.
In upstate New York,
I want this
on
house.
a farm dedicated to energy efficiency, world-renowned architect Alan Shope has built his new home into the side of a hill. It's called earth berming, and by using this technique, along with recycled and high-tech materials and lots of help from the sun, Shope's house is at the cutting edge of the green building revolution.
So, Alan, why an earth-bermed house?
Well, earth berming is undeniably seductive as a way to mitigate freezing cold temperatures and blistering hot temperatures. Animals have used it to protect themselves for millennium. Human beings have used it. The cliff dwellers used it. People have used caves to protect themselves. And in modern society, obviously we don't want to live in a basement or a cave or a bunker.
Right.
But it's possible to take a southern sloping hillside, as we have here, simply insert a house into that southern sloping hillside, and to create an enormous buffering effect where the 54-degree temperature of the earth creates a gentle cradle around the house.
It's actually a triangle, like an arrowhead into the earth.
Yes, it cools the house in the summertime, it heats it in the wintertime, and is a wonderful protective a blanket around the house.
Yeah.
That's pretty much it. Yeah, that's 117.
That's good enough. Yeah, and now they go into the details of the house, but it looked like it's probably pretty expensive. But I really like the concept because, the Earth doesn't freeze. I don't know, it freezes maybe a foot down or something, but not completely. So, and of course, it stays cool. And it looked like that was probably built down in the South. Now, just moving right along with the theme of the show, and that's different things that people live in. The next thing people live in is movable structures. Now, out here in the regional district of the Central Kootenay here in the province of British Columbia, if a thing can be moved, you don't need a building permit. So that means any kind of a van or tractor trailer, leftover trailer from a big rig. Some people live in containers. And of course, you do find people living in movable structures everywhere, including in the big cities, which is people living in their RVs and other things. Okay. Now we got a thing here. It is a video. Problem is, it's just this new style of video, Yankee, and I don't know if you've noticed it, but it really is aggravating. They don't do a voiceover, right? I mean, you might as well not even play the audio. If we're on YouTube, don't even play the audio. It's probably got some kind of music that we're going to get nailed for. And it's just text. So if you could read the text, I think it might help out. But I don't know. I've seen a lot of these organizations doing this, and I find it really aggravating. I don't want to I'll volunteer to do the voiceover for free if they want.
Let's
know
see.
what I
Let me
mean?
get it loaded up. Let me see.
It's a YouTube video, full gug. 3111111.
So we're gonna do from the beginning to 120. So
Yeah.
let's see.
I mean,
I'm
if
just
people
gonna
want to
do
see it, it's
absolute
discreet.
very low volume. Let's see if it triggers YouTube.
Oh, I think it's got some tacky music on it. Whatever, it's your call.
So this cuboid concrete house for a family costs just $84,000. To save money, the concrete walls were left bare with as few partitions as possible. Danish architect Sigurd Larsen built this, and he intends the blackened timber property to become a prototype for low-cost housing. The prefab house comes as a $150,000 package, which this South Korean house has been insulated using cheap materials such as bubble wrap. Students in California completed a sustainable house for an impoverished neighborhood. It features eco screens to keep it cool and large cuts in the facade to bring in daylight. Yale students created this cedar-clad kinetic house on a $6,000 budget. This modular house in Portugal can be divided into rooms with greater removable partitions and features windows that can be transformed into walls if more privacy is required. Costing just $88,000, this mirrored house can be transported via lorry from factory. Aiming for a non-generic exterior, Tommy Carlson clad this Swedish home. This lightweight modular house in Vietnam is strong enough to withstand earthquakes. Find out more at dzin.com, low-cost housing.
Yeah.
Nice.
Now you're talking like out of the box, literally out of the box, or reinventing the box and then moving into it is the whole idea. Now I got another video, but we don't. You got a video later on the same thing. I don't know if you want to play this.
Well, no, I mean, I don't think the rest of my stuff is pretty much HUD and
Okay.
Mrs.
Well, play this.
and
Play
Biden.
this tiny homes. Play this tiny homes one. It's a YouTube living big tiny house. Now this is a promotion for this guy's YouTube channel, but he's got over 4 million subscribers to his YouTube channel. So if you're into tiny homes, this is probably the place you want to go and live the life. So it's just a short video with this guy hyping his site and what his site is about.
I just want to give a shout out to Rusty Chair for the follow. Thank you for following us here on Variant News. And
cool. Yeah, baby.
Anywhere Joe donated a lemon, and Nolette says awesome in the chat.
We love you guys and girls.
And love to see the chat and the lemons and the follows. Greatly appreciated.
Yeah, it makes us feel worthwhile. Gives us a sense of.
So I'm going to actually start this in the beginning. The volume. There's no music on this one. I'm just going to crank this one up.
No.
We're doing the whole thing, right? It's only a minute 14.
It's really short. But like I said, a lot of people on this site. So check it out if you're into this sort of thing.
If you've ever dreamed of building a unique and beautiful small space, simplifying your life, getting off the grid and escaping the rat race, then this is your channel.
It's impossible to feel stressed out when you're looking at a cow. They've never had to do a tax return in their life.
My name is Bryce, and I'm on a journey to discover the very best of small space design. Join me on my travels as I visit people who live in incredible tiny homes packed with clever features. Together, we get to know their stories and insights into downsized living.
And I'll never own a normal home because I refuse to get a mortgage.
I'm not just watching from the sidelines though. I get stuck in with my own build projects, such as my tent home in the forest and my very own tiny house on wheels. My videos are packed with information to help others who are planning on building and living in their own tiny homes.
You can learn pretty much everything you need just from YouTube.
So come along with me for the ride, and together, let's discover what it means to be living big in a tiny house.
Living big in a tiny house. Nice.
Yeah, I mean, that was one of the things that we touched on at some point about people wanting way larger houses. Some people insist on having 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9,000 square foot houses when they don't really need that. Now, I mean, I don't want to begrudge rich people for getting what they want, but it takes up a lot of real estate, and it kind of is having a factoring and driving up houses for the little people. Now, this is kind of a setup for what you're going to go into, Mr. Yankee, but I looked up, I did the best I could to find government housing programs in Canada, and they're really, on the federal level, there is almost nothing. And the main reason for that is that the provinces would be the ones to address housing and that sort of situation. But even more specifically, it's the municipalities and the regional districts, like here in British Columbia, that set the guidance for zoning and all of that. So really, there isn't much. They got a couple programs, one for First Nations people, trying to get them better housing, doing a terrible job of that, by the way. And the other one is something to do with trying to get homeless people into shelter, which is also not going anywhere. So really, it's private market driven for the most part. There isn't that much government involvement other than setting parameters, particularly in housing, building permits, and that sort of situation. But apparently, from the links that I saw you posted, the federal government in the United States wants to get more active in housing policy than they were. So I'm going to kind of bounce it over to you, and you can educate all us Canadians as to what the heck is going on down there. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I'm going to switch over to media view, get the links all up. So I got a bunch of links. I'm not going to go through. Actually, I'll probably go through most of these quick, but I've got a lot of notes here. So Biden administration is working on trying to end or severely limit single-family zoning and have HUD-based or multifamily structures, apartment complexes. And this was started under Obama, and now Biden is taking that torch and starting this back up, this whole initiative. Looking at the first, actually, with my notes here, so what is the overall plan for housing at the federal level? How effective can it be? According to the measure within the transportation package, any local government that does not comply with the federal zoning guidelines, meaning ordinances that ban apartment buildings from certain residential areas or set a minimum lot size for a single-family home, the Department of House and Urban Development, HUD, will cut off funding to that city. Funding any city needs to maintain their current low-income housing. Additional consequences for cities keeping their local zoning laws in place would be to punish states by prohibiting them from receiving taxpayer-funded transportation grants of any kind if they refuse to allow high-rise apartments throughout their high-density zoning in their suburbs. And I want to jump down here. I was trying to find out, constitutionally, how does this work with the federal government having that much power trying to set policy? And the only thing I came up with is that basically they're not literally forcing the states to do this. They're basically just saying, if you don't do this, if you don't zone for, apartment buildings and high density and multifamily homes, then we're not going to give you any money. But I found
that's where they do it. Yeah,
I found this article. Yeah, I found this article from Brookings.edu, and basically, this is probably up until about 2019. But state and local governments' total expenditures amount to about $2.9 trillion in the United States. While this is less than the federal government's $4.3 trillion of expenditures, nearly 2/3 of the federal total expenditures are transfers, either to individuals or state and local governments. Wow. So this means that the state and local governments have, in some respects, a more prominent role in decision-making than the federal government.
Yeah, figures.
And yeah, so this is National Review.
Yeah, I see.
I mean,
So they're trying to influence. It's sort of like, in a way, what New Zealand just in New Zealand they could just go, okay, guys, this is the way it is. It's a very small country, New Zealand, only 5 million people compared to what United States is over close to 300 million got down there or something.
yeah, it's around 330.
Yeah, it sounds like the typical, like, if you don't follow the guidelines, we won't give you the money. But yeah, go on. I like this.
But this is going to be the most difficult to do in places like California, the big cities of California, New York, where you have, already old structures. It's very hard to increase housing.
Yeah.
And the housing's already very expensive. Here in this article, and in this paragraph here, naturally, curiously, earlier this week, the New York Times featured a story in opposition to an affordable housing initiative that would rezone New York City's Soho neighborhood. Residents worry that the rezoning proposal will bring more massive high-rises, tourists, and traffic into a neighborhood famous for low-rise 19th century architecture and narrow cobblestone
It's
streets.
Beautiful. I love that neighborhood.
So many say the rezoning proposal is more about pleasing developers than affordable housing. It's unlikely that many or any of these residents voted for Donald Trump in 2020. And the Times story prominently features an opponent of the rezoning initiative who is black. Nor is that an outlier case. But this is happening all over. And it's obviously, it would be a lot easier to implement policies like this in lesser developed cities, smaller cities. Medium-sized cities, but
boy, I tell you, the libertarians aren't going to like this one at all. The people that don't think the federal government should be interfering with their neighborhoods. But then again, and the other problem, I'm sure you probably agree with me, is that the government is not that efficient with money, and I know up in Canada here, sometimes they get these programs that are really heavily funded, but by the time it all filters down to the people that need it, there's so many advisors and studies and bureaucratic nonsense that only a percentage of the money gets to them. And you got an update on somebody new, or you got more stuff before we get to?
There was one I wanted to find here, and I'm not sure. Actually, wanted to go over. This is Mrs. Fudge.
Oh, Ms. Fudge,
the Queen of HUD, the Queen of Housing and Urban Development. So she came in January of this year. Just wanted to go over the basics of HUD. Can an activist HUD make housing a human right? Which is they're referring to Mrs. Fudge. HUD assists low-income households with rental subsidies in the private sector, primarily through Section 8 certificates and vouchers through the Office of Public and Indian Housing. Families seeking assistance apply through their local public housing agency. HUD homes are foreclosed properties that were originally purchased with FHA loans. Residential properties become HUD homes when a homeowner is unable to keep up with their monthly mortgage payments and defaults on their loan. Any buyer who has the funds or can qualify for a loan is eligible to purchase a HUD home. And I wanted to find, I believe is it this one? I think it is. Biden's infrastructure plan will federalize local zoning laws, displace single-family homes in suburbs. So this article claims that this whole agenda of trying to get rid of single family and doing multifamily apartment buildings is part of the Agenda 21-2030, which we did touch on a past stream on the show.
Well, it's going to be. I tell you what, this is going to be something we're going to have to keep covering. Fortunately for us here in Canada, things are far more clear cut. We don't have the states' rights situation as much because it's a confederation, not a federation, and the provinces pretty much control almost everything. Resources, education, health, it's all provincial. So, I think we should move on to, and this is another subject. If you're ready to move on, I don't want to interrupt you. Do you have some more housing stuff, or?
No, I just wanted to mention this, that it's definitely people are making criticizing it as it being part of this whole 2030 agenda 21, which we're going to do future streams on.
We're going to have to.
But it's really going to be about, not all states are going to play ball with the federal government on this. So
keep us up to date, Yankee. We're counting on you.
And we'll see how it unfolds. But
we will. And moving on to one of our favorite subjects, and once again, because we have limited time, and the feature takes up at least half the show. So with our sub features, I think you call them current events. Is that what you call our next heading? Or
current events.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Well, we got Yankee's got a bunch of stuff, and my comment, but it's to do with one of our favorite, or not our favorite subjects, but one that we have to keep going back, and that's Mark Facebook. And he's moving into creating the Matrix, basically. So why don't you give us an update on what little Marky's doing these days with your brain?
Yeah, so
I mean, this is 1984 on steroids, man.
Yeah, this is really the next age of the internet. So it's the age of the metaverse. And Facebook is going to hire 10,000 VR developers in Europe. Taking a look at the article real quick. I mean, this is the conference, which is just really bizarre. So there's little Mark Zuckerberg, and he's walking, and everybody in the audience are all hooked up.
No.
To looks like the company Facebook bought, Oculus. Those are the Oculus VR headsets. So they're all in the metaverse there.
No.
Getting ready to build the future. It's a massive army of developers. And so the metaverse is a theoretical virtual space where people can access the internet. And this is an explosion across all the big tech companies. NVIDIA, which is one of the biggest makers of GPUs, graphics processing units, they're doing a huge push all across the board. Apple has their own initiatives. Google, everybody is getting into this, and it's going to create entirely new industries. So the concept is that, and especially with the pandemic, I mean, the pandemic made everybody work from home, and they've been using Zoom. Well, I won't use Zoom because it's not secure, and it's a backdoor to the CCP. But a lot of people are using Zoom. But that's a very basic compared to what the metaverse is going to be. So the metaverse is going to be a much more immersive environment where you can meet, with your company, with your team or whatever, and it's in 3D, it's virtual. I mean, as it gets better, it'll be fully immersive. So you'll be able to walk around. It literally will be, you're working in virtual reality every day.
Really?
Once it gets all built out, you'll be working in the metaverse.
Well, man, it sounds so much like the movie The Matrix to me. I just can't. I mean, we've known about this for a long time. People getting more and more involved, and you factor in things like Facebook, and people getting more and more used to this. And of course, with Zoom, now people are getting really used to it. But this is the next step. And you said that China is actually building a whole city around this, or
which I'm going to finish up with Facebook, and then I'll end with China. But they're building they've got a massive city where it's a VR, like Six Flags, but for VR. Like Six Flags in the United States here, like a theme park. But it's like a theme park for virtual reality. We have virtual reality rides. It's massive. It's like a small city. I've got links on that, but I wanted to find. Got a bunch of videos here. Which one is this? This is not the one. Why Facebook is spending billions.
Mark Zuckerberg is on a VR.
All right, you know what? We'll do. I'm gonna do the first minute.
I'm not sure folks realize, like Facebook's largest expenditure for multiple years now has been VR.
We don't know exactly how much Facebook is spending, but most people think it's around $5 billion per year. And that's after they spent $2 billion to buy Oculus in 2014. It's now 7 years later, and VR still hasn't reached mass adoption.
The average use for a virtual reality head, the average number of times people use a virtual reality headset is 1.
Don't get me wrong, VR is an amazing technology, but it just hasn't gotten to the point where average people can enjoy it every single day. But Zuckerberg isn't taking his foot off the gas. He now has 20% of Facebook's employees working on VR in some capacity. It's a massive investment that sounds way out of line with the current market opportunity. Both Oculus and Instagram were acquired around the same time for around the same price. But Instagram brings in more than 10 times as much money for Facebook as Oculus, and at a much higher margin. So why is Zuck still so obsessed with VR? Well, there are a few different reasons, but to understand them, we need to talk about the metaverse. So let's put on our VR headsets and dive in.
What is the metaverse? It's a virtual environment where you can be present with people in digital spaces. Kind of think about this as an embodied internet that you're inside of rather than just looking at. And we believe that this is going to be the successor to the mobile internet.
For the past few months, everyone in tech has been talking about the metaverse nonstop. There are lots of different definitions floating around out there, but no one has done more work to popularize the term metaverse than Matthew Ball.
Wow. The best way to think about it is a quasi-successor state to today's mobile internet, in much the same way today's mobile internet built off of the internet of the 90s and 2000s.
Lots of people, especially engineers, are extremely skeptical when a business blogger comes along and coins a phrase for a vague collection of technology trends. But sometimes, these terms do have a practical use. Think about how we label generations. Terms like boomer, millennial, and Gen Z are all loosely defined around a period of dates we can't all completely agree upon. People typically use the birth years between 1981 and 1996 to define the millennial generation. But is someone born on January 1st of 1997 all that different from a millennial? Obviously not. But that doesn't mean that there isn't value in having a term to describe a new era. Technology has been through a few of these, and sometimes they are only clear in hindsight. Wow. After mainframe computers were adopted by corporations, the personal computing era brought technology into the homes of millions of people. It wasn't long before these computers were connected to the internet, which marked the beginning of the dot-com era. And the last 15 years have clearly been defined by the mobile phone. Each era of computing has had huge winners, but no one company can bring about a new era alone. And that's why the metaverse is such a useful concept. It's not just Fortnite or VR or crypto. The metaverse is an idea that ties these concepts together and seeks to explain how they all interconnect. So
yeah, wow. I mean, it's going to be a massive undertaking, and
yeah,
I mean, so many times with technologies like Facebook, they're going to want to control everything. They're going to want to have proprietary like standards or what have you. The patenting of this technology. So that's going to stifle innovation. But the only way the metaverse will grow fast enough is if there's open standards and everybody's not trying to patent everything. If everybody's trying to patent things, and it's not gonna progress fast enough. Right. But it's gonna be a massive undertaking. The bandwidth's got to be there. The bandwidth's just starting to get there. It needs to get better, but it's literally going. The metaverse will be persistent all the times, 24/7. So eventually, people are going to get to, and the younger demographics are going to be the first to dive into this. But it's going to be always on, always there, pervasive, real virtual environment, kind of like a immersive video game.
Yeah, some people get into it heavily, I think, like video games, and some people probably are just going to completely ignore it unless it gets pervasive and the government says you have to spend an hour every day. I could see, a country
well, I mean,
like
it's going to start. It's going to
China.
start with everything. It's going to start with your work. I mean, anyone.
Yeah.
There's going to be more and more.
And then how does that get manipulated? But you can imagine that if it's used as an indoctrination tool by a country that uses techniques like that, like China, preaching in school to the children about the supreme leader. I mean, if they said, well, you got to spend an hour a day in our virtual reality, but as the guy was saying in the video clip there, I'm going to watch the whole thing later, but it's like so many things in technology. It can be really, really good, or it could be really, really ugly. So tell us about the theme park. Maybe that's where we'll go on vacation next year. We'll take our annual Variant News vacation at the virtual reality theme park. And
yeah, so there's a theme park. I'll do that first, and then there's another city that's getting built basically from the ground up with virtual reality. So let me...
Is that to replace the ghost cities that they have to blow up because they shouldn't have built them in the first place?
Guangdao, China, is the one that's getting built from the ground up. But this one here is China's...
Disneyland. Virtual Disneyland?
Basically, yeah, China's VR, virtual reality Disneyland.
Oh, boy, don't take
and
the
it's
kids
really
there.
not... so this is from VRFocus.com. China's VR Star theme park is a vision of the future, but not for Western audiences. So I mean, China under Xi Jinping, and now that he's dictator for life, he's not. That there's not that openness now.
Oh man,
where people have been able. People were starting, from other countries are starting to visit China, work there, but that's all disappearing.
No.
So yeah, that's
go
disappearing, and.
Oh man!
So they've built this huge VR theme park, and it's really just for the Chinese people.
Well, can you imagine what they're going to have on it then? I mean, they're going to definitely manipulate their information to the. Anyway, go ahead.
So this is it. It's a small city. So there's like a huge transformer robot in the center there, costing an estimated 1.5 billion. I'll just do a real quick video. There's this guy they invited. I don't know. He's from the UK or the US, but he's got the Nike Mags Back to the Future shoes that are going for $100,000 or more.
Oh my gosh.
Anyway.
Well, hello there, and welcome to this brand.
I'm gonna cue it up to. Actually, there's one here that was really crazy. It was like a. Here it is. This one here is nuts. It's a roller coaster, and this machine holds you up.
Wow, this VR so you work at this VR park, but you can't handle VR. And this one looks the most dangerous to me. I don't know why. This looks the most scary. 3 minutes. Challenge accepted.
It's the real challenge.
Yes. Okay.
Good luck.
Yeah, I guess I need a lot of luck. Most intense simulators they had on display. This one was for the true daredevils.
So that's just a small excerpt of just one of the rides that they have. They have dozens and dozens of rides across multiple buildings. Probably 100 rides, maybe, or more.
I'm glad China's not going to let us go. I don't think so. I don't even like real roller coasters. I certainly gonna strap myself into some friggin'. Anyhow, what else you got?
So, And then
Unreal.
there's, let me clean some things up here.
That is just ridiculous.
And then there's Guangdao. I'm not pronouncing it right. Spelled Qingdao. Guangdao. Building a smart city with Vim in Guangdao, China. So Vim is like this virtual. Vim is like a virtual reality modeling format that they're gonna use to help build Guangdao. And I mean, there are American companies working with Chinese companies, Chinese government on this. Microsoft, IBM.
Really?
So an increasing number of people around the world are migrating to cities, and in the future, more metropolises will be deemed smart cities. In fact, Smart America estimates that over the next 20 years, city governments around the world will invest more than $41 million to modernize their cities. But smart cities of the future will go far beyond automated lighting and autonomous cars via virtual information modeling, VIM. The new smart city will be created from the ground up using the power of virtual reality. That's why VIM is partnering with both American and Chinese companies to construct a truly innovative city of the future in Guangdao, China. So they're literally using virtual reality. So, they're using 3D mapping programs to, like, build buildings and causeways and what have you, streets, self-driving cars. It's a massive initiative.
I'll bet. Looks expensive. It's just for a guy that basically me. I basically live in the woods. I spend a lot of time just watching birds and nature and clouds and stuff, and so it's just but it's a reality. I mean, I'm not saying that everybody should be like me. Definitely, I don't want everybody to be like me. There wouldn't be room for me. So you got something else from China that's going to
I'm going to finish up with this. I'm only going to add some additional things to all of this that this article doesn't mention. CCP has their social credit system, and the article doesn't mention it, but obviously the social credit system is going to be completely intertwined with these cities like Guangdao that are going to be built with virtual reality, the smart cities of the future. So their whole credit rating system will be built right into this. And it's hard to find. I did some research, and it's for a future stream, I'll try to find some more information on how the social credit system gets interweaved into all this tech. But like I said, it's hard to find because there's no transparency coming out of China on it. But information's out there. It'll leak, and I'll have it on a future stream. But interesting stuff.
Yeah, I mean, it's just like the thing about China is a lot of the trends, and we cover China quite a bit here because that's such an influence, economic and political, military, and even social structures that influence both our countries, which is our countries, by the way, are called Canada and the United States of America.
Yeah,
Canada is a separate country. A lot of Americans think we're just like some kind of territory. Guy that works on my land here, he said he was when he was in the Navy, he was down in San Diego, and his chief petty officer insisted, because he knew that we all up here live in igloos, man. We all live. This guy was sure this is long before the internet, and but he knew completely. And you want to move on to the I got an article here about the IRS and stuff.
Yeah, checking out the chat. Anywhere it says that Pirate Chain is a anonymity token crypto platform. Provides anonymity for users purchasing it and swapping, stuff like that. Pirate Chain, he says, is making a racing game where you buy parts and compete in tier levels. So interesting stuff. Anywhere, if you've got a link to an article, feel free to post it in the chat. I'll check it out.
Totally.
Thanks for adding that in. Yeah, so we're gonna go back to media view, and then we're gonna talk about the U.S. Secretary of the Treasury, and we're at 4:55, so we're almost at the 5 p.m. hour. I'm gonna rip through this, but so there was a lot of talk with the infrastructure bill and the budget resolution bill after that, and trying to track citizens' transactions in the U.S. It was first believed that they wanted to track any transaction above $600. But let me get this video queued up. Yellen, this U.S. Secretary of the Treasury, cleared everything up for everybody. And she's also been talking about a central bank digital currency. But let's play the video real quick. It's only going to be 10, 20 seconds. I just got to find it. It's at the 26-minute mark, around there. Let me start right before that. All right.
How dare they mischaracterize the plan to monitor your accounts and any transactions over $600? According to Yellen, and this is her defending against those claims, right? Some opponents of the measures have criticized the proposal as granting the IRS information on individual transactions totaling $600 or more. That's not the case, Yellen said. Rather, she indicated that the plan has a much larger scope. It's actually bigger than that. If the measure becomes law, the IRS would be able to get all information from bank accounts. All information from bank accounts with more than $600 total activity per year.
So that's the basics of it. So Yellen's been talking with the Democrats in Congress, and this is what they envision. This is what they want to have done. Now, what I've heard the latest is that they're going to scrap it for now, and they're just going to go back to the traditional $10,000 transaction limit.
Right.
So anything at $10,000 or above is going to be tracked, whether it's
That's the
crypto,
threshold.
whether it's crypto or bank account or traditional
Cash.
market, moving in stocks or anything.
Cash. If you cross the border between Canada and the United States, they ask you if you have any more than $10,000 in cash or that kind of currency type of thing. Want me to move on to this article?
Well, I just wanted to finish up on Yellen. So basically, this is what Yellen really wants to see, right? She wants to see being able to monitor basically everything, but it's not there yet.
Right.
She's mentioned a central bank digital currency at the U.S. federal level. So if they were to release that, you now have a digital U.S. dollar. It's much easier to track because it's digital currency. If they build, and then they can build a network. It's going to take time, whatever, 5, 10 years, whatever it takes. But they build a network around it. They use machine learning. They use what have you. They build the network up. They'll be able to get to that point where they can track
they can do it.
Everything. But then
will they be allowed to,
that's
though?
Really, that's the thing. I mean, we'll see what happens as it unfolds, but that's where they want to go with everything. They want to get that digital currency infrastructure in place, and to be able to do that and and monitor everything. So we've got a few Canadian related stuff. We have the CRA. Do you want to do the CRA link?
Yeah. You can go back to camera view if you want. I'm just going to be talking out of an article.
And then we got the cryptocurrencies Canadian
video.
Cryptocurrencies in Canadian law. All right, so let me switch back to.
Just for a minute so people can see my.
And we learned a lot about Canadian crypto that I don't think most people are aware of.
Canada's kicking. We're kicking, dude. And we've covered it on the show earlier, but it was on the radar and it dropped off the radar. But as a lot of you people are aware of the whole crypto situation. I know that China basically shut down a lot of its industry in that. And Alberta in particular, which is a province in Canada, if you don't know, it's not Alberta, let your hair hang down. No, it's a province. They've got like natural gas, and they can actually fire up generators and create mines up there in Alberta. Of course, the downside is kind of like smooth rock. You got to live in Alberta. Yeah. So anyway, I looked into a few things. This is a little bit a different topic, but you got me going with how much is the government looking into things. Now, the Canada Revenue Agency, basically, if somebody wants, like a law enforcement or something like that, if they want Canada Revenue Agency to be able to look at your bank account, they can do that if they think there's some malfeasance. They can look at it, but in general, they believe it or not, most Canadians are honest, and the Canada Revenue Agency kind of gives us the benefit of the doubt on most. Very few people are audited, and unfortunately, some people take advantage. But Canada Revenue Agency does work with the Internal Revenue Service, and this affects dual nationals like myself. I'm both an American and a Canadian. Just a full disclaimer, I'm not a born Canuck. I just became one over a period of time, like 55 years or something. Okay, so anyway, I got this out of CBC, which is a Canadian Broadcasting Corporation. It's an article. The link's there. You can read the whole thing, but some excerpts in the Canada Revenue Agency has been reporting hundreds of thousands of Canadian bank accounts to the Internal Revenue Service, despite the fact that they fall well below the mandatory reporting level set in agreement between Canada and the United States, according to information released by CRA in response to access to information requests. The account balances of 615,000 of the 900,000 records the agency transferred to the IRS in 2019 were below 50,000. The year before, 610 out of 900. Okay, under the agreement reached by the two countries, the U.S. adopted the Foreign Account Tax Compliance Act to go after offshore tax evasion. Canadian banks and other financial institutions are obliged to send CRA information about accounts held by individuals that could be subject to U.S. tax law that have balances over $50,000 U.S. The CRA then forwards that information to IRS once a year. The agreement does not oblige the CRA to send details about accounts that hold less than $50,000. CRA says the decision to report the account lies with each Canadian bank or financial institution. In other words, the bank can decide to report you to CRA if they decide. Now, according to them, quote, the reporting financial institutions have the discretion to apply or not apply the dollar thresholds negotiated in the agreement as provided by domestic legislation, wrote CRA spokesman Christopher Doody in an email response. He said, once accounts are reported to the CRA, these are U.S. reportable accounts, and the CRA is, under the agreement, expected to exchange that information on that account with the IRS. Now, Alison Christians, chair of tax law at McGill University, excellent university, by the way, in Montreal, Quebec, said banks are reporting more accounts than necessary in order to protect themselves, CYA, so to speak. Okay, she said, I warned that it would be the little fish that would be caught up at volume. It would not be the big fish. And now we see that's exactly what's happening.
So it's good. I don't think most people are aware that this is going on between Canada and the U.S. Also, we'll have future updates on it. But now cryptocurrency is getting into traditional markets, and it's going to be under the CRA's microscope and the U.S.
definitely.
Federal government at the IRS level. So
somebody's watching you.
Canada and the U.S. are going to be watching across both countries everything crypto, traditional, and it's going to get. I think it's going to get even more intense as we move forward.
Totally. You want to play that video? It's just play. I don't know if you can pull it off. It's 30 seconds to 1:30, and then go all the way to the end.
And then
it's a really
20:35 to 22:05. All right, I'll do that.
Yeah, it's youtube.com GZI9. Z, by the way, is Z in Canada. You Americans going, why is he saying Z? It's really true. Oh, and I do want to thank Elizabeth Thompson. She was the senior reporter on that article that I just read out of the CRA. Very good reporting. And like you say, most people are not aware of this, but it does affect, there's a lot of, I think 630,000 dual nationals, United States and Canadian people living in Canada right now.
All right, so let me do these two excerpts from the video.
Yeah.
Video, I'm going to talk about the laws that regulate cryptocurrencies.
And then we got one
like
other video for a minute and a half, and then that's.
And obviously, part of the reason why I want to do this is that more and more
that's the
people are
one.
seeing the valuable
We got a
possibilities
YouTube, and then
offered
if you
by
want the
cryptocurrencies,
Bloomberg one,
and there's a growing
so you can go to
interest in
media
acquiring
view. There
them
it
and
is.
using them in transactions. But because crypto is a relatively new development, people might not be aware of the rules and obligations that come with getting involved in the world of cryptocurrencies. And so I'm going to take you through some of the key areas of law that apply. I'll put timestamps of the different laws on the screen here and also down in the description in case.
So just I was going to do the first 30 seconds, and then I'm going to go from 2035 to 2205.
Yeah,
right,
that
so
would be good. Because it just goes on and on and on and on about all these details, which is good. And I encourage you to go to the link, especially if you're Canadian or you want to do business in Canada on this. But at the end, he kind of goes through, see, it's I don't know, I noted it here somewhere. Oh, yeah, 2035 to near the end is I think, worthy.
All right, I'm going to roll it.
Worthy of our time. I know everybody's very busy.
Are you ready? I'm going to roll it.
I'll roll it
regarding cryptocurrency law in Canada is how they're regulated, which
Volume's
is
a little
important
low.
for you to know in cases where the blockchain for a cryptocurrency you're invested in is hacked, or the entity behind this cryptocurrency or the platform holding it for you may be committing fraud. Cryptocurrencies in Canada are regulated under securities law, and the Canadian Securities Administrators has said that businesses marketing their coins or tokens as software, including initial coin offerings, are not necessarily exempt from securities law, because oftentimes these coins or tokens can actually be investment contracts. So what's the significance if a crypto token or coin is classified as a security? It means that the issuer or the crypto platform facilitating its transfer has to register and comply with disclosure and reporting requirements to the securities commissions. The securities commissions will be the one regulating such cryptocurrencies, and so if you have any legal concerns regarding a crypto that you're invested in, you want to contact the relevant securities commission for assistance. So that concludes a breakdown of law in Canada surrounding cryptocurrencies. To reiterate again, because this is such a relatively new phenomenon, the technology is going to continue to evolve, and so will the law. For example, maybe a decade from now, the CRA might not treat crypto as a commodity, but rather as a currency, depending on how it's being used and the government policies about it. So you want to make sure to do your due diligence to be informed about any changes in cryptocurrency laws and how it affects you. As always, this is just legal information, and if you need specific advice, please discuss it with your own lawyer.
So yeah, I mean, it's a similar thing that's happening with the SEC in the U.S. with Gary Gensler, everybody's favorite chair of the SEC.
Right. They're trying to define it. It seems like they're like, what is this stuff, and how do we treat it? We got one more video. Just play it from the beginning to 1:30, and then I'm pretty much done with the Canadian thing. And this has to do with the national currency that Canada is contemplating.
This would be a central bank digital currency, CB.
Yeah, exactly, because that's a big topic we've had. China's created one. The States is thinking about it. If I recall his video, which I have watched at least once, it talks about they're working on it. Yeah, okay. Let's see what we got here.
Bank of Canada is laying the groundwork to introduce a digital currency. Doesn't see the need to issue one at this point in time. For more on this ticket, Ottawa, Bloomberg's Eric Hertzberg standing by with the latest. Eric, they are primed and ready, but not going to pull the trigger at the moment.
Yeah, that's right, Greg. I mean, what we heard from Tim Lane today from Montreal, Deputy Governor Tim Lane, in his speech was more of a setting up of a potential digital currency that the Bank of Canada could put forward. That was in a speech, as well as background documents looking at the possibility of a digital currency, what it might look like in this country, and some of the reasons why it might be necessary in the future to issue a digital currency from the Bank of Canada itself. Now, the first reason would be that in Canada, cash is no longer king anymore. We're slowly being less dependent on cash. People are using cash less and less. If that gets to a point where there's a minority of people using cash, then it would be one trigger, not a trigger, but a potential reason for the Bank of Canada to get involved with issuing digital currencies. And the second reason is the advent of private companies creating their own digital currencies and cryptocurrencies, including Facebook's Libra, which is expected to come out sometime this year, I believe. If those sort of things start to happen, then the Bank of Canada will surely speed up the process and look at issuing its own digital currency.
Yeah, when I think about the tenure of Governor Poloz, which is...
I mean, it's already here. I mean, you've already got...
Yeah.
I mean, Facebook's Libra is horrible. They should be using an existing platform like Bitcoin or Ethereum or Solana or whatever.
Yeah.
But it's already here. I mean...
it is. I mean, it's here, but not so much on the government level, it seems. And if you take my takeaway from that video, it's so Canadian. It's like, oh yeah, we're looking at it and we're thinking about it, and what the guy said, this is the reasons they might do it. Everything's kind of laid back, they're checking it out. It's typical Canadian. It's not a big deal. We're checking it out. And also, I will reiterate what I've said before. Anything to do with something as dynamic as this, Canada is going to keep a very close eye on what its big brother to the south does, because it doesn't want to do something that's going to interfere with America. Because we, even though we're a separate country, we're very highly influenced economically.
Yeah, I think Canada and the U.S. are going to meet on
they'll get together.
Their central bank digital currency is going to look like.
It makes sense. I mean, you think about it, Canada and the United States are probably two of the closest countries in relations and cultural similarities geographically in the world. I mean, we are a separate country. We have our own style, but really, you think about Canada and the United States, there's a cultural cohesiveness that I really have trouble thinking of two independent countries that are similar, but that just occurred to me.
Yeah.
Give it up to the Canucks and the Yankees. We're in this together.
Nice.
Come on.
And
Come
then,
on, work with us, people,
we're taking a look at chat here. Any word? He's been talking about Pirate Chain. And I'll check out that video after the show. Pirate Chain is an anonymity platform token. So it has security layers in place to try to provide anonymity for investors in Pirate Chain. But he goes on to say it's an idea and in development. There's no articles on the racing game yet. So there's a Pirate Chain racing game in the works. And he also says that Pirate Chain is going to keep going down. In my opinion, investors are pissed off. Got to hold Pirate Chain for years to see any increase with this new strategy.
Interesting. Well, we'll have to keep an eye on that. You've got some other stuff.
Yeah, we're going to move on to the big news in crypto with Bitcoin futures exchange-traded funds being released in the U.S. with the Chicago Mercantile Exchange, very big exchange, to be the first to market with a Bitcoin futures. And I didn't know this, but Canada had already released a real Bitcoin exchange traded funds futures for just to give it a description of what futures are. So Bitcoin futures are a type of derivative trading instrument where two parties enter into a contractual agreement to buy or sell Bitcoin at a predefined price at a later date, typically traded on a commodities exchange. A derivative is a term for any trading contract that tracks the price of an underlying asset. But Canada's Bitcoin exchange traded fund is actual Bitcoin. You're requesting an exchange traded fund to buy the Bitcoin for you, real Bitcoin. This U.S. futures, it's just, in my mind, I don't really like. I see futures as very risky, especially with the volatility of Bitcoin. So you're really gambling on the future price of where Bitcoin's going to be. Is it going to go up? It's going to go down.
That's impossible, isn't it? I mean, it's all over the map.
Well, then it gets even weirder when you hear what Gary Gensler, the head of the Security Exchange Commissions in the U.S., says. He says that he's reluctant to approve a pure Bitcoin ETF, the kind that Canada has had since earlier in this year for its citizens, due in part to concerns about the wild price swings in the market. So he's okay with a futures Bitcoin ETF, but not with traditional ETF where you're literally getting Bitcoin. So I don't know. There's something going on there with Gary Gensler and the SEC, because they think that's not adding up, I think, for most people.
No.
I don't understand the logic behind that, but
something's rotten in Denmark, dude. I tell you what, no, that doesn't make any sense. But it's good to see Canada is taking a lead on this. It's kind of excellent.
And the U.S. The U.S. futures Bitcoin ETF, the Chicago Mercantile Exchange, the demand for this is through the roof. They can't even handle.
Wow.
There's a limit put in place on these future contracts, and they've already reached that well into November.
Whoa.
And they're gonna try probably to increase the limit so they can add more contracts, but I don't know. It's gonna be crazy. It's gonna be very interesting to see how this futures ETF unfolds.
Yeah, that's something we really want to watch for. And I mentioned on an earlier show that even right here in Nelson, little big city of Nelson, there's a place you can walk in and anonymously buy various types of cryptocurrency. I haven't gone in there. I'm gonna have to go in and research it, see if they'll let me do an interview. It's cutting edge, and like I say, in Canada, it's more fluid. We can get things done quicker. Can't do it quite as quick as New Zealand, but we're flexible. And not to slag the United States of America, but it's kind of obvious. I think it's part of the reason is we're more cohesive in finding common ground. Let's put it that way. Put it nicely. So what else you got? Anything?
Well, just from the article here, this is Yahoo Finance. The Canadian regulators earlier this year approved ETFs that hold Bitcoin directly. They're not futures. It's you're literally holding
that makes sense.
Bitcoin, and that was first launched in February. So it's been there for a while. But that's pretty much it. And then Nigeria. I got this article from Jacob, who's in the chat.
Thank you, Jacob.
Jacob helped found Variant News. Played an integral part in getting it launched, and he sent me this article. This is very interesting. Just going to do it real quick. This is from Reuters.com. Nigeria to launch digital currency on Monday, central bank says. So a central bank digital currency. Nigeria will, on Monday, launch digital currency, the Naira, the central bank said, months after it barred banks and financial institutions from dealing in or facilitating transactions in cryptocurrencies. So Nigeria is doing basically what China and the CCP are doing. They're just cramping down on any cryptocurrencies so that their state-level digital currency will prevail. So,
if you want it, you've got to use ours, basically, right?
Central Bank of Nigeria Governor Godwin Emefiele has said the Naira would operate as a wallet against which customers can hold existing funds in their bank account. And that definitely will be following that and see what other countries in Africa follow suit. It's going to be a chain reaction in the coming months. It's going to be a chain reaction all over.
When you first started months ago, when we started putting this show together, and Tim and I have been working on internet stuff for over 20 years. We did one of the first live streams of audio out of the Broadway studios on Broadway, North Beach, San Francisco, California. I think it was 2001 or something. So we've been in this game for a while. But while we were putting this show together, the Yankee started talking about this crypto thing, which I didn't know very much about. But, I really want to thank you for getting me more involved and educating viewers like myself, because I watch the show too, about the crypto thing, because it is an emerging force to be reckoned with, and how it plays out is going to be really interesting. So you want to move on to Bizarro? You got any more
before Bizarro,
tidbits, or-
just real quick, I've been wanting to put together an excerpt for spyware programs that'll help people following the stream to detect spyware on their Android and iOS devices, and possibly I might look into also Mac OS and Windows desktop. But I did take a look at iMazing for iOS, and it's a really cool app. I mean, it has a free trial version for a couple weeks or something like that. So I'm checking it out. But it's well put together. I did a scan. It didn't detect anything, but it really goes through everything. You know, it goes through your chat messages and applications. It really digs deep. Gives you a full report on everything. But I'll have something. I should have something for next Sunday's show on that, for at least for iOS and Android, so people can check those apps out if they. Yeah,
that'd be good.
If they'd like
that'd be good for the Halloween show. Next Sunday is Halloween, and we're going to try to scare you. No, not really.
Scare you with spyware.
Listen, if I don't scare you looking like this, then nothing is. I don't need no costume. You understand? Yeah, but we're going to go into a bit more about where the heck did Halloween come from, and traditions surrounding Halloween, like All Saints Day, which is the next day, and Day of the Dead, which is 2 days after. But they're all interconnected, so that'll be fun. And so going into how to avoid Shadow Dragon. Hey, that's what. Maybe I'll go as Shadow Dragon. This Halloween.
You put a nice Shadow Dragon costume together.
I am Shadow Dragon. I am in your phone. You didn't even know how I got in. You don't even know I'm here. I see everything you're doing. I am Shadow Dragon. Yeah, we covered Shadow Dragon. If you don't know what Shadow Dragon is, Google it. All right, let's do Bizarro.
So it's time for Bizarro, and this comes from Twitter, and it comes from the grand old country of China, the oldest civilization, not only in the world, but probably the universe. And
all right, I haven't seen this yet.
China put into place, unfortunately for children everywhere in China, a 3-hour total hours of video gameplay. So the children there cannot play more than 3 hours a week. So instead of playing video games, they're having young girls fire mortars, and I'll get it loaded up in the reel. So instead of playing a video game and shooting a mortar, they do it in the reel. So let me get it.
Ain't nothing like the real thing, baby.
And it's a cute video.
Like the real thing.
And the one girl on the right, her hat keeps falling off. It's very interesting.
Okay.
She's very scared. There we go. Fix the hat. And there you have it. It's like a tracer round. But yeah, so instead of playing video games, girls are firing mortars, firing mortar test rounds.
That might come in handy when those girls are out there in the trenches of North Korea,
it's a
shooting off mortars.
A valuable skill.
Well, yeah, I mean, because they haven't got their military robots built yet. Okay, what else?
RoboCrop, though.
Oh, speaking of robots. All right, now listen. I watched this, and it said this thing's going to be able to pick 15,000 raspberries a day, but at the rate it's going. All right.
I'm sure they say it's just a couple software updates away, and it'll just
that's like Theramos
plowing away. But this is from TheGuardian.com. RoboCrop, world's first raspberry picking robot, set to work. Autonomous machine expected to pick more than 25,000 raspberries a day, outpacing human workers.
Watch closely.
Let's check it out.
Watch closely. Yeah, watch closely. It's action packed. Not.
Jesus Christ, it's not even doing anything.
I know, it's working on it. You know, it's
Wait for it. Wait for it.
Wait. Wait. This $50,000 machine is going to, maybe, it's working on it.
Wait for it.
It's gonna happen. No, it's gonna happen. I think. Maybe. Come on. It's a freaking raspberry. Just grab it. I guess you don't have to worry about the...
It's almost making it burst. It's like...
Well, that's just it.
Squeezing it to its...
And the AI's got to figure out if it's ripe. Oh, it did it! Or she did it.
Is it going to drop it? Does that take an hour to
no,
drop
wait.
it? Oh,
Okay,
look at that.
wait.
That is modern technology.
Ready to go.
That is modern technology.
From the field to your plate. Yes. Curtis, well, at least it probably doesn't eat the raspberries. You know, I bet a lot of raspberries get eaten by the raspberry pickers. You know, we used to do that. When I picked cherries, you end up coming home with gut full of cherries, you know.
So,
okay.
From the nationalpost.com, Vancouver restaurant facing staff shortage.
Yeah, this one I
offers
caught.
$50,000 salary for a dishwasher.
Now, this caught my attention because I'm kind of unemployed because of the pandemic. I'm in the entertainment production business, and I was thinking about getting a job, but I did wash dishes in a theater when I was a kid for a while, dinner theater, but $50,000. Okay, I think it's just an
wages. Necessary to
I think
alert back staff who use lockdown time to regroup and rethink job options.
Just an article, I think, so you have to read it to us or something.
Effects of labor shortage, $50K per annum to wash dishes. Reads an ad posted by Handy Grill restaurant in Vancouver, which is looking for a couple of staff in a time of extreme worker shortages. The D.com and WorkBC job posting state pay per hour will be $25 for 40 hours per week. No experience or education is required. Wow. And training will be provided to the eligible candidates if you can't figure out how to wash dishes. Training will be provided for you. Starting date as soon as possible.
Today. Get down here and wash
Today, if you are in the Vancouver area or at least 500,000 miles away, please, you should apply for this job. $50,000.
I tell you what, nobody's got no complaints. And if you need money, 50 grand.
Comments being left on various social media where the dishwashing jobs were circulated reveal how those not in the industry are taking the news. On Reddit, for example, several users deemed disenchanted by the news.
Well, I'm disenchanted. Man, I'm making $80 a night playing music, isn't it? Anyway, well, good on. Yeah, and I think that if that's what it takes, you know, I think more people are just going to have to buy a craft dinner and make their own food or something. I don't know. I mean, I'm a home cooker myself, but, you know, go out to a restaurant, it's going to get more expensive, but then, you know, you got to give it up. That's a hard job. And if you are at a restaurant, be nice to the servers. It's not their fault.
Yeah. So here's the last Bizarro story for the show.
You found this.
And I found this. This kind of freaked me out. You know what I mean?
It's not boring. It's not boring.
This boring beast.
It is boring.
It's scary. It's and Halloween's right around the corner. It's horrifying how this thing just out of nowhere he just decides to charge. So let me start at the beginning here.
Beware of boars.
Here we go.
All right, go.
Stop. His screams are the worst. I have to watch it again. But they have it in a loop. They have it in a loop.
Oh, do they? Yeah, go.
I'm pretty sure they do.
Yeah, I think
maybe they don't. If they don't, I have to watch it again.
Where is this? Where is this?
Germany, I believe.
Oh, Germany. And they're
Yeah, they put it in a loop. I gotta watch it one more time. I mean,
Okay.
he starts screaming before the boar even hits him. The boar bit his leg. Like he freaks out and drops to the ground and starts screaming.
Oh, that's probably not a good move.
Yeah, like
That's probably not a good move.
He went into a submissive posture, and of course the boar's just gonna
go eat him or something.
So let's watch
All
this
right.
one more time. I gotta watch it
one more time, and we're out of here.
Wait. Here we go.
All right.
Watch it. Watch how quick he drops to the ground.
Yeah, this guy's a
Stop.
I'm sorry.
Oh my God. He should have just stayed upright and.
Well, yeah. I mean, come on, dude.
I mean, dropping to the ground is the absolute worst thing you should do in that
Well,
situation.
I mean, like, I know that if I have to confront a wild animal in the bush, which happens around here, it could be a bear, it could be a cougar, it could be a mountain lion, it's generally to stare it down, stake your turf. I've had to deal with grizzly bears in the bush, and you definitely don't want to start running. Now, apparently, with bears, you can play dead. But I don't know about that idea. All right, well, we hit an hour and a half in a minute. You want to get out of here?
We're an hour and 31 minutes. So, yeah, but we'll have the Halloween special next week.
Next week, same time, same place, same station.
The spyware discussion. I should have that ready to go finally. Yep. And, we'll have a good show.
I hope so.
I'm going to dress up. Will. I'm going to dress up as something boring. I mean, as a boar or something like that. I don't know.
Yeah, you be the boar and I'll be Shadow Dragon. Shadow Dragon.
And cool. And anyways, thanks for hanging out anywhere in the chat.
Everybody.
Appreciate the comments. I'll check out the video you sent on Pirate Chain. Good stuff.
Yep.
And
we'll be restreaming. We'll be restreaming today and tomorrow.
Yeah, later tonight at 8 p.m. Eastern and 8 p.m. Eastern on Monday.
And please do comment. We really like it. Makes us feel like we're communicating with our people.
And I'll just throw the Discord link in there if you want to check that out.
Might as well.
I've got some plans to get a news feed in Discord, so consider joining the Discord, and I'll just put the contact information and also Rumble.
We're where you find everything.
Archive up on Rumble and Odyssey. I got both those links up. We're putting up all the old shows up there. I got some backlog to do, but it'll all be up there. And we appreciate any support, checking those out, getting Rumbles, and views on Odyssey.
Spread the word. Keep the faith, baby.
All right. Thank you, everybody, for the support, the lemons, the follows. And, we will see everybody on the next stream.
Thank you.
My tree. I love my woman.